Alright everyone, it is time. It is time for me to rank my top 25 personal favorite roller coasters for 2022. Now, 2022 was quite a year without a doubt. Luckily, I was able to visit many new parks this year, and I got to re-ride some of my favorite rides of all time, so my list has definitely changed quite a bit from last year. But now, I'm not going to waste any more time, so let's just jump right into it with number 25. And one quick disclaimer I want to say before I get into it is I will not be including Top Thrill Dragster on my list, since it did not operate at all in 2022 and the ride seems that it's about to face some major changes. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into the list. Out of all the RMCs I've ever ridden, this one, yes, is my least favorite, but also just shows how good RMCs are, because I've ridden 8 of them, and they all made my top 25. Twisted Colossus is really good. The dueling aspect, at least when it's dueling, can make for a fun ride. The drop is really good, along with the high five element, and this ride does have a couple good pops of ejector airtime. Plus, I did really enjoy the inversions. However, I feel like compared to other RMCs, this one just didn't do it for me. The airtime was okay, and nothing on this coaster truly stood out to me, which is why I preferred number 24 just a little bit more. I am obsessed with Premier rides, as a lot of people already know, and Full Throttle has always been one of my most anticipated coasters. So getting to ride it this year was a dream, and it did not disappoint. That launch packs a kick, and this ride is relentless from start to finish. The first loop has the best hang time I think I've felt on any coaster in the world. The backwards launch is so much more intense than it should be, and that top hat is killer. The pop on the drop shouldn't be legal, and I absolutely adore it. It may not be the longest ride in the world, but it does more in its small footprint than most roller coasters. Thunderhead is one of the most relentless roller coasters I've ridden. From start to finish, this ride packs a vicious punch, and it currently is my favorite GCI. The second this ride crests the lift hill, you're in store for an ejector-filled machine that has some intense transitions and laterals in some sections. One thing I always notice on this coaster is its length. This coaster keeps its pacing all the way to the brake run, and it's long. It twists around itself numerous times, and it honestly blows my mind how well this coaster runs. It definitely can be a little shaky, but Dollywood definitely maintains it well, and it's always a must-try whenever I visit the park. I say this every year, but Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket always finds a way to stay in my top 25. This coaster is criminally underrated, and overhated. The first half is action-packed with a phenomenal drop and the best non-inverted loop in the world. The helix and overbank always make me gray out, and the second half is filled with unique elements and unexpected pops of ejector airtime. Plus, the music adds so much to the ride. I don't ride it as much as I used to, but every time I do, I'm always blown away by it. If anything, I believe this ride just keeps getting better. Just one up in Rip Ride Rocket is the legendary coaster at its sister park, Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. It truly is one of the greatest attractions in the world. The theming on this ride is just unmatched to basically every other coaster. Every ounce of this coaster is well themed, and the ride is amazing too. For a family coaster, this ride is just perfect because it packs a punch with unique elements such as a spike, drop track, and 7 different launches. This ride shows that it doesn't need the most intense launch or the craziest airtime in the world to be a world-class roller coaster. I had zero idea what to expect going into this ride, and even after riding it, I still have no idea what to think or feel. X2 is definitely the craziest attraction in the world. The 4D motion is just insane. There's really no other word to describe this ride. The drop is messed up, it's very intense, the flipping motions just catch me so off guard. My only complaint is that this coaster is honestly too much. The turnaround at the end might just be the craziest element of all time. This ride just shocked me, and honestly, I still don't know whether to like it or adore it or dislike it, but it's definitely an unforgettable experience to say the least. You can't go wrong with Diamondback at Kings Island. This B&M Hyper never disappoints me. Every time I ride it, this beast of a hyper just tries to throw me out of my seat on every single hill. And I'm not saying other B&M Hypers don't do that, it's just Diamondback is significantly better than all those other hypers. I could ride this coaster all day and never get bored. It has one of the better hyper layouts, and the night rides on this thing are a whole other level. I truly love Diamondback, but I like Mako a little more. I have ridden Mako more than any other roller coaster, so I've experienced the slowest morning rides in the middle and the fastest night rides in the front, and even after all my rides, it still holds a high spot on my list. I haven't ridden any roller coaster that's flow ejector airtime is compared to Mako. Every hill just tries to kill you at all costs. No matter how much I ride this coaster, I will never get tired of it. Especially recently, I just got to ride Mako on New Year's, and the clock struck midnight while I was going down the drop. It was truly one of the craziest moments of my life. I'm interested to see if a B&M Hyper is better than Mako, but for now, it's still one of my all-time favorites. I know I said no B&M Hyper could be better than Mako, but I never said anything about an Aero Hyper. For being the first ever hypercoaster, it holds up really well. The layout is extremely simple but powerful. The first half has some amazing floater airtime, and right after the turnaround, you go through those deadly triangle hills. The back-to-back-to-back pops of scary ejector airtime is unlike anything I've ever experienced. It's personally one of my favorite classic roller coasters, and this coaster alone makes me want to go back to Cedar Point very soon. Now, to say this coaster surprised me would be an understatement. I was going into Copperhead Strike for the first time with absolutely no expectations, and who knew that this ride would be absolutely insane? The ejector airtime is deadly, and I mean deadly. Plus, I'm a sucker for some good hang time, and that's most of Copperhead Strike. I got to ride this recently during Winterfest, and I'm convinced that this coaster was made to run in the cold, cause wow, it was hauling through its layout. Every turn was intense, and the ride was just sheer madness, and I want to go back up to Carowinds just for this. Ever since it opened back in 2020, I've been obsessed with Orion. It's truly what made me fall in love with Kings Island. This ride is one of the best first drops on any roller coaster, plus this ride packs a punch with its insane speed and pacing. Even though it may not be the longest roller coaster in the world, it definitely is one of the best. The airtime is also incredible. The back-to-back-to-back speed hill and massive bunny hill is one of my favorite moments on any coaster. And it ends with a bang. Without a doubt, the best ride in the park, and it gives one of the best night rides in the world. Now, you want to talk about an intense, snappy, powerful roller coaster? Then you got Maverick. This ride proves that size doesn't matter when it comes to roller coasters. The speed and pacing on this ride is on a whole other level. It is one of the craziest first drops in the world. The transitions happen in a blur, the ejector is deadly, and you pack all that in with 2 inversions, 2 launches, a crazy Stangle dive, and some other powerful ejector hills, then yeah, you got a world-class ride. Sure, the restraints are the best, and the ride itself isn't the longest, but it's still an action-packed coaster without a doubt. One of the best in the world. Even though it's been 5 years since my last ride, I will never forget this ejector airtime in Lateral Pack CCI Woody. I was shocked to find out how crazy this roller coaster was after my first ride. The ejector airtime in the back row is killer, especially that drop after the mid-course. The pacing again is on a whole new level, and this ride from start to finish is just nothing but mayhem. It's a smooth wooden coaster that takes the wind out of you because of its insane experience. I still have yet to find a true wooden coaster as crazy as Ghost Rider. I want to re-ride this coaster definitely later this year, but man, you won't understand how crazy this Woody is until you ride it. The next 3 coasters on my top 10 are all RMCs, and we're kicking it off with Storm Chaser. This ride packs a punch. The airtime on this ride is really, really good. Nearly every element gives you that insane RMC airtime. The pacing is where this ride is going to stand out though. It holds its pacing better than 90% of roller coasters. But compared to other RMCs, it's just too short for my liking, and it doesn't pack a punch like some of these other rides, but it still is without a doubt one of the craziest roller coasters in the world. Just barely making the top 10 is Twisted Cyclone at Six Flags Over Georgia. I don't care what anyone says about this ride. I love it, and I will adore it till the day I die. It is one of the best first drops on any coaster. The wave turn and double inversion are pretty fun too, but to me, all of the airtime hills on this coaster are what makes the ride what it is. Every single hill gives powerful ejector airtime. This ride still has, in my opinion, one of, if not the strongest airtime pop of all time on that twisted hill. I'm definitely going back up to ride it this year, and I'm so excited to get back on it. This ride was probably my biggest surprise for the year. I didn't know what to expect going into Flight of Courage because everyone was ripping Jersey Devil, and I've never done a Raptor, but wow, this thing surprised me. That first drop is phenomenal, especially in the back row, and the inversions make this ride. It has the best zero-G stall I've ever experienced. The zero-G roll is actually fun because of the single rail design, and all the airtime pops deliver strong flowjector airtime. Plus, the extra ending with the wave turn and overbank, in my opinion, added so much to the ride, and honestly was one of my favorite parts. I did not think this would be my favorite coaster at Six Flags Magic Mountain, or be in my top 10, but that just shows how good of a ride this coaster really is. Lightning Run is incredible. The first time I rode this, I remember being blown away by the insane airtime and phenomenal pacing. Basically, imagine if RMC made a normal steel coaster. Introducing Lightning Run. I'm still shocked this is the only one of its kind. This ride should be at every theme park. It's super smooth and has what I think is the best first drop of all time in the back row. It's intense, has some quick transitions, and its airtime is on a whole other level. Another severely underrated coaster. If you had told me back at the beginning of 2022 how much I was going to love Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, I would not believe you. But here I am now at the end of 2022 with over 100 rides later, and this ride is one of my all-time favorite roller coasters. The ride itself is so unique. The backwards launch is always a blast, and the spinning movement along this coaster's winding layout is just so unique and something unlike I've ever experienced. It can be intense in some sections, and the theming is just phenomenal. Every ounce of this massive building is themed, and when I get a ride on this with Everybody Wants to Rule the World or Iran, it's one of my all-time favorite attractions. Twisted Timbers is amazing. This RMC is just perfect in its own way. The drop is so much fun, the 3 back-to-back bunny hills are absolutely incredible. The Trick Track Double Up I think is the strongest pop of ejector I've ever felt, and the ride overall is just chaos from start to finish, and I live for it. The pacing is so good since most of the elements are low to the ground. The inversions are fun, but the constant ejector airtime coming at you from all angles is what really makes this ride for me. I cannot wait to go back to King's Dominion to marathon this ride over and over again. It may have taken me 5 visits and over 15 rides, but I finally understand why everyone adores Lightning Rod. This ride is just a beast. The launch at the start is always fun, but the layout is just madness. The first wave turn is something with the crazy suspended ejector pop it gives you. It's just messed up. The second one is really good as well, and that Outer Banked airtime hill is the strongest pop of airtime on the ride. The quad down is phenomenal, but what really makes this ride is its crazy pacing. This ride holds its speed from start to finish, which provides a crazy intense ride. What really made it for me was riding it last month in the front row at night. Dropping behind the mountains felt like I was traveling through a pitch black tunnel, and seeing the Christmas lights across Dollywood while going down the quad down was a sight I'll never forget. It really made me appreciate this ride so much more, and I'll be back to Dollywood this year to marathon it all over again. Kicking off the top 5, we got Fury 325. What do I need to say? The speed of this ride alone is top 5 worthy. Its low to the ground start is one of my favorite elements to experience. The way this coaster just transitions so low to the ground at 90 miles per hour is a feeling like no other. And when the ride goes over an airtime hill, it doesn't just gently lift you up into the hill, it throws you into the hill. It may not look like it's going over with much speed, but trust me, it is. Combine all this with phenomenal pacing and a legendary first drop, this whole ride is just perfect. It's super smooth and just glorious. I don't even know what to say other than it's Fury 325. Yeah, finally being kicked out of my top 3 is Steel Vengeance. It hurts, but this ride is just incredible still. Don't get me wrong. Just thinking about this ride makes me want to go back up to Cedar Point right now. When thinking about this ride, you think of its crazy ejector airtime, deadly transitions, and an action-packed layout from start to finish, and all this is true. There is not one dull moment on this coaster. From the drop all the way to the back-to-back ejector finale, it holds its pacing and its forces. There really isn't any other coaster like it. If there was a perfect roller coaster, it definitely would be Steel Vengeance. It may not be my personal favorite RMC anymore, but it's still one of the best coasters in the world. Finally making its debut in my top 25 is my personal favorite RMC with Iron Gwazi. After all these years, it finally opened, and it was well worth the wait. This ride is just something else, man. The drop is messed up. The first Outer Bank is absolutely killer. I mean, just ask my phone that totally didn't fly off of it because I forgot to zip up my zipper pockets. Anyways, the death roll is as crazy as it looks. That wave turn literally tries to kill you, and the airtime finale at the end always leaves my thighs with massive bruises. Riding Gwazi on a hot summer day is just insanity. There's no other way to put it. This ride just shouldn't exist, but somehow it does, and I'm so happy it's only a couple hours away from me. But it's not the best coaster in Florida. For me, that's gonna go to... Yeah, Velocicoaster is still the real deal. From the amazing theming, the powerful launches, the best inversions on any roller coaster, the deadly airtime, the amazing night rides, the queue, the entrance, the whole package, this ride is just amazing. The first half is perfect. Insane and snappy elements, amazing airtime, stunning rockwork and landscaping, but not too intense. But then it launches you into the second half, and it's just so thrilling and so good that by the time you enter the 0G stall, you already forgot about the first half. This ride is just incredible. I truly don't think we'll ever find another coaster like Velocicoaster, and I am okay with that. But it's not my number one anymore. After giving it some thought, it's got to go to the Beast over at King's Dominion. Intimidator 305. I knew it was going to be good. I didn't know it was going to be this good. It's the most powerful, most intense, most intimidating roller coaster in the world. The first turnaround almost made me pass out just because of its force, and that's not a joke. The airtime is really good on this ride, and oh my gosh, these transitions. Just, what? It whips so fast to the other direction that you just don't know what's coming next. I don't even know what to say about this ride. It really is the only one that has left me speechless, and I want to get back on it so bad. Its forces, crazy speed and pacing, and airtime even is what makes it my number one coaster, and I cannot wait to get back on it very soon. Well, there we have it. My personal top 25 favorite roller coasters for 2022. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know if you guys agree with any spot on this list. If not, I understand, because everybody has different opinions. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And don't forget to subscribe, and if you want to hear more of my popular opinions, then make sure to check out my podcast On the Hunt in the link down below. As always, this is Hunter from Theme Park Hunting. I'll see you guys later, and follow the thrill.